Whether it's a 5 o'clock somewhere type or you're respectable and you don't drink before work, here at Front Nine Coffee, we've got the perfect coffee cocktail for almost any occasion. Front Nine's Captain's Choice Irish Coffee. To get the full experience of this drink, you're going to want to start with a pre-chilled mug to ensure that you get the greatness that is Front Nine Coffee. If you're making this drink in the morning, pour please. If you're making this drink in the morning, make sure you add the coffee and the sugar first. That way, the whiskey feels like an afterthought. Because you're not a bad person, you don't need to go to meetings. Top it off with a little whipped cream, and there you have it, a coffee cocktail that'll make you feel like a true captain. Now,
I feel like that was perfect.
What's going on, golf addicts? DB here. If you're a golf addict, then you want to bet on golf, and there's a golf tournament going on. It starts tomorrow. Talking about LIV Golf Boston. I'm here to talk about it, talk about the golf course, uncover a few good nuggies for us to think about, and maybe think about placing some bets. I might do a little screen share, look at some head-to-head matchups that I'm seeing over for some of the LIV Golf lines on Data Golf. And mix it up with you guys. So if you're watching live, I want you to be a part of the show. So ask some questions, throw out some takes. We're talking betting. We're going to try to stick strictly to betting on the golf tournament. So obviously there's been a lot of news come out this week, a lot of new players, most notably Cameron Smith, Joaquin Niemann, Harold Varner III, and then guys like Cameron Tringali, Anirban Lahiri, and Mark Leishman also joined the LIV Golf field this week. They are they're on teams. They're ready to rock and roll. 48 players, 54 holes, no cut. At LIV Golf Boston. It's called the International Course. It's the Oaks Course, which is a Tom Fazio design. It's a par 70. I want to start off by taking a look at the scorecard launched here by LIV Golf. So you can see here, it plays pretty short, 6,900 yards. And now we did see, the Trump event at Bedminster, Trump Bedminster. They definitely moved tees back, moved tees around, gave you some different looks there, different challenges there. But I mean, number one starts off like if you're shotgun starting on number one, good morning, a 500-yard par four. That sounds like an enema, is what that sounds like. I don't want anything to do with that. And then here's a 12-yard longer par five on the eighth hole. Love that. Gotta love that. But you can see the par three, there's the two par threes on the front side, pretty benign in the 170 to 180 range. Obviously, again, they can move the tees around here. And then as you head to the back nine, you get a little teeth in a couple of these par threes over 200 yards. You get another two more probably gettable par fives. So the par fives on this course, I think, are going to play very, very. I mean, that's where you're going to have to make your bread and butter. If you're out here and you're scoring on this golf course, you better be scoring on these par fives for sure. So looking at pictures of the golf course, things like that, some of the topography, it does appear to be a golf course that's pretty straightforward, kind of a precision course. You can get into some trouble off the tee. Other than that, I think these guys will do just fine. But I think that this course, unlike maybe Bedminster, does play more into kind of that golf course where anybody can do well. You don't have to be a bomber to play well. Bombers always have an advantage on every course, always have, always will. But I do think that this course may open it up to some shorter names, some shorter players. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the golf course. Now, in terms of this betting board, in terms of like how do we attack this thing, right? Like we've had three LIV events so far. You had Charles Schwarzel winning in London, you had Brandon Grace winning in Portland, and you had Henrik Stenson won in Bedminster. Those are three kind of old farts. You know what I mean? Like those guys they got some dusty gas coming out of them a little bit. They're old. These guys started playing golf when clubs were persimmon, and now the field's getting better. The fields are getting stronger as they're adding players, taking players away. I think I saw something on Twitter, and I'm going to misquote this, but that the if you were to assign strength of field rating to this event, which is debatable, it's a 54-hole no cut event, 48 guys. If you were to assign it, it would be stronger than like 7 regular season events that were on the PGA Tour. So I mean, this thing looks a lot different than it did in London, than it did in Portland, and really than it did in Bedminster when you add a name like Cam Smith and you add Joaquin Niemann. I mean, those are two studs, right? HV3, hasn't won on the PGA Tour, but he's won worldwide. He's won in Saudi. He's won in Australia. He's a good player. And Cameron Tringali, Mark Leishman, Honorable Lahiri, say what you want, but they increase to the strength of field. They add some depth to these fields, and the names they kicked out were names that really there was a couple good ones in there, but it wasn't great. So if we're talking about the strength of field, it's definitely rising. So are we going to see names? Are we going to see these old fart veterans continue to play well, continue to win? We could, but it may also be much more difficult as this field strength improves. Now, one thing I thought about, I remember saying to myself after Bedminster was like, dude, the guys that come out brand new in their first event are going to go one of two ways. It's going to be a very strange week for them, and they're not going to enjoy it whatsoever because it's all the chaos, it's the media, it's the questions, it's the hate on social media or whatever it is. You're going to get all that, and it's going to distract you, and it's going to make life difficult for you, um, in terms of your performance on the golf course, or you're going to really rise to the occasion. And I mean, we saw Henrik Stenson come out here in his first event, getting the captaincy, the President's Cup captaincy removed from him, and then getting it, or sorry, not President's Cup, Ryder Cup captaincy removed, and then coming out and winning, and really just giving a whole little, one of these to everybody that you know chipped in on that. Now, uh, whatever you feel about that is you, but he came out and he was hungry and he wanted to prove something. Paul Casey comes out. We hadn't seen Paul Casey in a while. He was injured. Hadn't really done much on the PGA Tour all year. Comes out, finishes sixth. Like, I think there is something to these guys that when they come out here in their first event, they feel like they have something to prove, something to, they want to come out hot. They just got this big paycheck. Here they are. They're on a new team. The whole team thing's happening, and they want to perform. So I think there's something to that. And I think that's something I want to look at in terms of the betting market. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at outright betting odds here on. I'm gonna share my screen. I've never done this. By the way, if you're in the chat, thank you. Please hit the like button. If you're watching this and you're not in the chat, you're not watching it live, please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Get notifications every time we go live. We go live all the time. Like today and 2 days ago, I went live. None of it was scheduled. So it just happened randomly. That's what I do now. I'm not a great planner. I just kind of do stuff. So you need notifications on. You need to subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when it happens. But let's share the odds screen. I'm going to pull up what am I going to pull up here? I'm going to pull up Data Golf, I think. Yep. So I'm looking at really the only two big books in the US that have odds popping right now, FanDuel and DraftKings. Data Golf over here, of course, has their odds, which I don't want to sort by that. I'm going to sort by, let's just do DraftKings for now. So we'll sort by DraftKings. DJ is your favorite. Cam Smith closely behind. Joaquin Neiman. Those are your favorites across the board in both books. And there is zero chance I will be betting on any of them because I don't do that. If you're new here, I don't bet short numbers in golf tournaments. I don't care if it's 48 guys and 54 holes. I don't do that. So we're not doing that. So we can skip right along there. The first name we get to in double digits is Taylor Gooch. I like Taylor Gooch. I've been a fan of Taylor Gooch, on the PGA Tour. Now, I've also learned recently that he's kind of a dumbass. He said some really stupid things over the last couple of months, but I mean, I'm not throwing that into my model for handicapping purposes, but I don't. Do I think Taylor Gooch can win this tournament? Absolutely. Do I think that the value at 14-1 is near as good as a lot of other players on this board? I do not. In fact, let's just play the name game. I'll tell you players that I would rather have than Taylor Gooch at their odds. I'll go deep here. Okay, I'm going to go deep. I would rather have Abraham Answer. I'll start there. 22-1. We come to a golf course where you don't have to be long, where the par fives are gettable even with Answer's short knock and self, right? Now, typically, I'm an Abraham Answer hater. I very rarely have bet Abraham Answer. I don't even know if I've ever bet Abraham Answer. So there's that. So it means a lot if I'm on Abraham Answer. But I do think this golf tournament this golf course will likely set up much, much better for old Abe Answer. He played well in his first event in Portland, finished 11th. Did not play so well at Bedminster, finished 40th. No big deal. But I like Abe Answer at 22-1. I'd rather have him over Taylor Gooch, even at the same number almost. I really would. But probably not. HV3. All right, so we just talked to HV3. We just interviewed him on the podcast. If you haven't watched it, it was a fantastic interview. I'm a big fan of HV3. And I know I just went on this whole thing about how first timers playing in these live events, I feel like, they have something to prove. And I think there is something to that. That being said, I'm not in on HV3 this week. I actually think that, he talked about it in his press conference. He said, "Man, I've read the comments the day it got announced." He said, "I actually read all of the comments," which he said, "I know a lot of people tell you not to do, but I read them, and it's not fun to not be liked." And he wants to be liked, and he read the comments. But at the end of the day, he said he made the best decision for his family. Him and his wife talked about it. His wife said, "F everybody, do what you want to do," and he did. That being said, with all of that, with all that weight, with all this transition, with all this media attention that he's gotten, and he wasn't really, he didn't end the year playing super great. Harold likes to have a good time. I'm sure the live party last night he enjoyed. I just don't know that I see Harold as being the guy that is gonna jump out here in the first event amidst everything he's gone through this week and crush it. Now, the next live event, we'll see. I think he could be on the radar. Maybe his odds get longer based on a poor performance this week, and there we go. But I'm out on HV3. Brandon, good question. Will the books have odds to bet on the teams? I don't know. I haven't seen that yet. I would love to find that. I would love to. I mean, I would imagine the four aces would be like, plus 150 to win this dang thing. I mean, it's the most stacked team by a long shot, but I haven't seen it. If anybody has seen it, drop it in the comments, leave it in the chat. Would love to know. Let's keep working. Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka, 27 to 1 on FanDuel. The Brooks number is interesting. Now, does Brooks want to play golf? I don't, who actually really knows, because I'm not convinced. But he finished 20th in his first event at Portland, right kind of in the middle. 11th, improved a little bit there at Bedminster. I don't know. But the 27 to 1 is starting to be, that's starting to kind of be enticing for me, for Brooks Koepka. Third live event. Now the circus for him is kind of up. 27 to 1 on FanDuel. I'm probably going to click that one and think about it. Patrick Reed, I think I'm probably bouncing on at 25 to 1. Charles Howell, I'm going to bounce on. Grace, no. Kokrak, no. But Mark Leishman at 35 to 1 is probably the first new guy here that I'm interested in clicking. 35 to 1 on DraftKings. I like how the course would seemingly set up for Mark Leishman. Let's see what he did. Let me pull up. I won't share the screen, but let's see. How did he end his season? You guys know I have a terrible memory. 28th at the FedEx St. Jude 64th at the St. Jude, 28th at the BMW in a 70-man field. The ball striking has kind of been absent really most of the year. After the Genesis, things really fell off for Mark in terms of ball striking. But I don't know that matters a ton this week, and with the variance of this golf tournament, and I feel like Mark 35 to 1 is a little interesting. So I'm gonna write it down. I'm not fully committing to that one yet. We'll try to commit here at the end of the video, but I'm a little interested. Matt Wolff, probably not. Just doesn't set up to be a Matt Wolff kind of golf course. Kevin Na, 41 to 1 on FanDuel. I will play. I will have some Kevin Na. I like the options there for now. Now he's kind of disappointed. 36th in London, 13th in Portland, 39th at Bedminster. He's disappointed, for sure. And I, maybe some could question Kevin Na's motivation. Why, is he really interested in doing this? But you can't doubt Kevin Na's ability to win a golf tournament, because he's done it at the highest level on the PGA Tour, and he's definitely dropping down a notch this week and other weeks on LIV. But this course, to me, seemingly fits him better than any of these other live courses have set up for him. Now, I could be completely wrong, because we don't have a lot of data on these golf courses. We don't have any sample sizes. We don't have ShotLink stuff. LIV is not going to have ShotLink stuff, because ShotLink, I think, has a proprietary agreement with the PGA Tour. That's one thing LIV's got to figure out. I think there's two big things that will take LIV to the next level. Number one is a TV contract, and I think they'll get it. Number two is some alternative to ShotLink. It probably can't be ShotLink, and I don't know how all that works. I haven't investigated it. I don't know if there's a proprietary patent on that technology, but I know the PGA Tour works with CDW and ShotLink. I don't know if they own it or if they just work with it really closely. If you know, put it in the chat. Let me know. Put it in the comments. Let me know. But Having something like that where we can track this thing when all these 48 players are on the golf course at the same time. For those people who want to track it, especially us bettors and gamblers who want to sweat it, being able to track that and have it accurately is important. And also after the fact, being able to have that data and understand, where guys gain strokes. All that stuff is very, very important. Um, okay. This is a question from Aaron. I heard live winnings come out of their large signing bonuses. So if Cam Smith got paid 100 million and wins 4 million, his bonus becomes 96 million. Fake news or no? Interesting question there, Aaron. I've seen it both. I've seen it in two different scenarios. I know that the attorney for Live, when they did that little thing about those guys being able to play in the FedEx Cup event or whatever it was, uh, supposedly slipped up and made the statement that that was the case. But I actually think after the fact that was cleared up. I don't think that's the case. I don't think guys would be jumping the way they are jumping if that were the case. So no, I think the word on that is no. That is not the case. If they got $100 million signing bonus and then they go out and win for 4 million, they get another 4 million. It doesn't come out of the 100. So I'm pretty sure that's how it's going. All right, let's keep working down the board here. So Kevin Na is my first, like, let's send it. Like, he's the first one at 41-1 on FanDuel. That's big. That's big value to me. And that's what I'm about. I'm about betting outright value. That's why we skipped the first 4 names on the board. We're not doing that. I'm out on Carlos Ortiz. Cameron Tringali is the next name I want to talk about. 50-1 on DraftKings. First event. Motivated as ever, I think. Maybe, probably not. Has never won on the PGA Tour, despite being a total journeyman, right, on the PGA Tour. I mean, Cameron. Let's look at this. Cameron Tringali on Fantasy National has 100. Where is it? Sorry, 290 tournaments on record in Fantasy National, and of those 290, has never won. Never won. Had a decent beginning of the season, but definitely lost it a little bit. But he's had boomer bust kind of upside. The Genesis, he had a good start at the Genesis, finished 6th. The U.S. Open played well. Heritage played well. The Genesis Riviera played well. Farmers played well. Houston Open, Zozo runner up. Like, he's had some really close calls in his PGA Tour career. He has had 4 runner ups. Let's see, 4, 3, 4, 5 third place finishes. I mean, he's got a ton of top 10s, ton of top 5s in his career. But wouldn't it be funny if his very first victory in, like, professional golf is at his first live event? I think it could happen. 50-1 is my second click. I'm going Tringali at 50-1. You can call me an idiot. You can say, like, what? Why this guy's an idiot? Like, what is he? He's not even a real guy. And you know what? I don't claim to be like the smartest expert guy in the world, but I tell you what, that's value is what I'm saying. Oh, Aaron, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. It's very nice. Very nice of you. I appreciate that, Aaron. Nobody ever does that, which is fine. We don't ask for it, but it's very nice. Okay. Keeping moving here. So Tringali, Lahiri's another one that left. This is his first event, but he's the same odds as Tringali. He's slightly longer than Kevin. I just don't. Leishman's 35. I'd much rather have Leishman Tringali instead of Lahiri. And then as we work down the board, it gets real slim real quick. I mean, Charles Schwarzel at 65-1 to repeat as the first ever 2-time winner on LIV would be interesting. And I like the value for Schwarzel at 65-1. I really think that could be interesting. Schwarzel finished 18th at Bedminster, 39th in Portland. But Schwarzel could do it. He's had a good season, a surprisingly good season. And I think the 65-1 number is worth a click. I think there's really solid value there at 65-1. So I'm going to go Schwarzel as the next guy on my card. After this, I'm going to pull up some head-to-head betting odds and see if the head-to-head markets may agree with us here. After Schwarzel, I think I'm out. I'm pretty sure, yep, I'm out. All right, so let's open up a different screen here, and let's go look at some head-to-head matchup betting odds and see what we notice. All right, I've got pulled up here a pretty sharp market making book. So not a book that copies what other books are going to do. And let's just start looking at some of these names and find some interesting lines and see if that tells us anything. All right. First scrolling here, I got Cam Smith as a massive favorite over Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, which makes sense. This is interesting. Joaquin Niemann, a minus 119 favorite over Cam Smith at minus 102. That's I mean, so that basically that would make, I mean, if Neiman's a favorite over Smith and Smith's a gigantic favorite over these two, that's a strong take for Joaquin Niemann. Am I going to bet him at 6.5 to 1 or 8 to 1 or whatever he is? Absolutely not. Cam Smith, big favorite over Gooch. Look at, all right, here we go. The first name on the card that I've kind of started building here. It's Cameron Tringali over Carlos Ortiz, minus 126 to plus 104. Ortiz is 40. You can get the best number on Ortiz is 40 to 1 on DraftKings, whereas Tringali is at 50. Is he at 50? Yeah, he's at 50 to 1 on DraftKings. So, hey, that makes me feel good. Little confirmation there on Tringali, at least over a guy like Ortiz, and a pretty significant favorite. Oh, but then he's a dog to Charles Schwarzel. That sucks. I mean, Charles Howell. That sucks. Charles Howell. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Oh, let me check the chat real quick. All right, Thomas. What's up, Thomas? I know Thomas. Pretty sure Liv was talking with ShotLink and then backed out along with other partners and vendors when the PGA chimed in. Ah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, it would make sense. ShotLink is not going to do both. They're not going to do both. They're going to stay with the PGA Tour. So, I think they're going to have to find some alternative. Okay, is Ortiz in good form or course fit? Well, I think one of the hardest things to figure out with Live Golf is, when there's only 8 events this year, I think there'll be 14 next year. But when there's only 8 events, like, how do you really know who's in form, right? Because it feels like everything's so spaced out. You could play like crap in your last, you could play like crap this week, and then you've got, you know, 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks until you have to tee it up again. And a lot can change in golf between that time. But he is in good form considering, I mean, he finished runner up in Portland, 4th at Bedminster. So, maybe he is one we should be looking at. Maybe he is one we should be looking at. Brandon, you got a good point. So let's see. What was his outright number? I mean, I kind of skipped over him. I don't feel like he's as good of a course fit here based on, let's see. He's 40 to 1 on DraftKings. Let me pull him up on Fantasy National and just see based on the PGA Tour data kind of how we would lock him in. I mean, he's definitely not a super accurate driver of the ball. The iron play historically, Carlos Ortiz has lost strokes off, with approach around the green, and he's been very, very average off the tee and in putting. He's been a very regular tour pro. So I don't know, like a second place and a 4th place in his first 2 live events is good, but now again, field is stronger, field is tougher. I still don't love it. So I think I'm out. Have I seen a Carlos Ortiz line? Oh yeah. Well, they got Tringali over Ortiz pretty significantly here. All right. So, man, they got Charles Howell over Schwarzel too. Geez, Schwarzel's a plus 128 dog to Charles Howell. So the book's really loving CH3. Now his first live golf event, what did he do? Because his first one was Bedminster. He finished 30th. Charles not gonna. I don't think we can go Charles Howell. I don't think we can. Let's keep working. DJ Neiman Gooch. Yeah, terrible. Answer and HV3. They have minus 110 right here. So dead even. I much prefer Answer right now with some of the distractions that I think HV3's had the last couple of days. And this is a shocking line. HV3's minus 127 over Bryson at plus 105. Good Lord. I don't agree with that. I would bet that Bryson line every day and twice on Sundays, whatever that means. Don't really care about that line or that line. Here's Answer over Kokrak, minus 122 favorite over Kokrak. So, I like the Answer play. That's cool, I guess. Kokrak major favorite over Ortiz, going back to the Ortiz play here. Answer obviously a major dog to Joaquin Niemann, which I would expect him to be. So that doesn't shock me. Here's 2 guys I'm betting: Kevin Na and Cameron Tringali. The head-to-head, sports books like Tringali significantly more than they like Kevin Na. Kevin Na's 41-1. Tringali's 50-1. So far, what I'm seeing in this head-to-head matchup stuff is Tringali may be a value at 50-1. He might be too long at 50-1 based on his matchups, based on the guys he's matched up to be a favorite against, according to a market-making book. So I like it. Mark, here's our first line on Mark Leishman. He's he's almost a coin toss against Brandon Grace. That doesn't tell me much. Big dog to HV3, but I have my thoughts on HV3, and I can see why a sportsbook may think different, but I would take plus money Mark Leishman over HV3 as well. Could be wrong. Okay, Tringali, major favorite over Pat Perez, which you'd expect him to be. There's a lot of Cam Tringali lines, actually. Varner, big favorite over P. Reed. Okay. Answer, dog to Paul Casey. Meh. I mean, Casey did surprise me with how good he played at Bedminster coming off that injury. And then we're kind of starting to get into, here's Answer minus 121 over Sergio at plus 100. That makes me feel good. I like that. I mean, Sergio's a decent name. Anyway, so that's what we're looking at. Those are some of the things that we're talking about. Thailand guys are underrated. You're probably right. I mean, there's not a lot of attention on some of those guys. What was the one that did really well, had a really good finish at Bedminster, right? Drop it in the comments or the chat if you know who I'm talking about. There was one. Fachara? Is it Fachara? Is he Thailand? Well, he finished. Well, I guess he finished 15th. That's not terrible. But there was the other one that also played in the Open Championship. What's his name? I don't see him in the field. Maybe he's gone. Anyway, all right. So to summarize, I think I'm liking Answer. Is it Answer? Answer at 22. Answer 22-1 on DK. I don't want to take the Brooks play. I don't know if I want to do I don't know. Brooks is interesting. Answer at 22-1. Leash at 35-1. Kevin Knott 41-1. Cam Tringali at 50-1. Those are for sure my 4 bets. Brooks at 27-1 and Charles at 65-1. I'm taking too. Charles Schwarzel 65-1 on DK. I'm taking. I think that's good value. I think he's a guy that would love to be the first 2-time winner on the LIV Tour. I'll do that. Brooks at 27-1. I need somebody to talk me into it. Drop it in the comments. Talk me into it or talk me out of it. Tell me what you think. Hit the like button if you don't mind. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. And yeah, let's have a great week, y'all. I'll be back. We'll be back in a couple weeks for the first PGA Tour event, and you can check us out there. All right. So let's have a week. May your screens be green. And Ben.